know, you might know some things now, but you're going to learn even more shit. So I would say if you have 3 t-shirts, don't look at those t-shirts as one drop. Look at them at 3 different drops. There comes a point where you have to sit down and really realize why you're doing this. And somebody was like, yo, why are you making this shit like so complicated, bro? Like, but I think at some point you have to ask yourself the question, are you trying to just do a cool project or a cool business? Find somebody that you can build with and pay them. And honestly, all the shit I said is kind of free.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Here to Help podcast. We are here to learn about storytelling, marketing, and we're here with the one and only Frederick Scott. And today we're going to be learning about how to launch a collection. And not only just a collection. If you're a freelancer and you're trying to promote yourself, I feel like you could take away information from how brands drop and tell their stories. So we got a mastermind and a master at what he does. Let's go, Fred, let's get the 1-2 minute intro of who Frederick Scott is.
Yeah, so my name is Frederick Scott. I'm from Philadelphia, PA. Been here all 30 years of my life. You know, I've had attempts or, you know, opportunities to leave Philadelphia over the past 30 years, but it's something about the city that just keeps me here. I think it's the authenticity, you know, the rawness, and honestly, like the beauty kind of in the shadow in the city that I love.
Yeah.
You know, outside of just Philadelphia, the reason why I'm here speaking or just, you know, all of this shit, I can curse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, all of this stuff. All of this stuff started with my love for sneakers. So through my love for sneakers, you know, I found out like what colorful storytelling was.
Yeah.
From sneakers, I got really into streetwear. And honestly, when it was time for me to pick what I wanted to do with my life, at some point, I knew I wanted it to be within this industry of sneakers, streetwear, and you know, eventually, you know, just fashion itself.
Yeah.
Early on, when I was about 16 years old, I started a brand called Honor Society. Honor Society went on from about 16 to about 24. And then at 26, 27, 26, I started a brand called Frederick Scott, which is a namesake label.
Yeah.
That pays homage to like Philadelphia, but is also our take on, you know, contemporary men's fashion.
Yeah.
Or just fashion in itself. Outside of, you know, having a brand, I think one reason why this conversation could boast well is that I'm also work 9 to 5 in streetwear. Well, fashion.
Yeah.
I was previously at a company called Atmos as a marketing manager, where, you know, I led, you know, all our product releases and drops, and now I'm currently at Snipes USA, leading all experiential marketing, you know, doing out-of-home activations and all that cool stuff. So, you know, launches, they definitely make sense to me from a brand side, but also professionally, it makes sense as well. So
you're in it.
Yeah.
Fully in it. Amazing. One of the things that I like about your storytelling approach is that you take a lot of, like you're able to translate stories that are local to Philadelphia in like a really tasteful way. How do you take those ideas? How do you take like a idea that's probably so personal to you and translate that to an audience to make it feel digestible?
When I started the brand, or even just started brands previously, I used to view people as so complex. Like I thought everyone was so different, and that, you know, a lot of things that resonate to me wouldn't resonate to the end consumer. But honestly, after releasing so much product, you realize that we're kind of all the same to an extent, and we all love. There are common There are common themes that connect and resonate with all of us. I know for me and the people that really follow the brand, I know that storytelling, quality, and just personableness really resonate. So when it came to my approach with dropping product, I always wanted to make sure we always had those 3 themes. I wanted someone to feel as though they were getting product from an actual person. I wanted them to also feel like they were a part of my story. And I also, you know, wanted them to, in the end, get a quality garment. So I guess to answer your question, like, why is that the theme? Because I know at the end of the day, as a consumer, it's what I like. So I also want to translate that to the customer that cops and purchases from us.
So you think you're your own customer in a way?
Yeah, in my own way. Like, you know, it's funny. I'm creating a brand that I would want to purchase from. You know what I mean? And I know there are a lot of consumers like me. So a lot of the times when I market or, I do things, I create things that I would want to appreciate to an extent.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if someone's thinking about marketing and how to shape a launch, just use themselves as like a reference point, almost like how they shop and how they might buy things, like use that as the information to build that persona. A lot of marketing people talking about like, oh, you need to like know who your target audience is, but if you're first starting out, you don't really know who your target audience might be. So maybe you and yourself is your target audience.
Yeah, it's funny you even say that too, because I don't know if this necessarily answers the question, but I have like a two-folded response. So I went to school for marketing. One of the big things that we talk about, honestly, in all the marketing 100 classes is like a target audience.
Yeah.
So when I did approach the brand, the new brand at least, I wanted to create, I wrote down like who is my target consumer, who I wanted that person to be, what I expected them to look like, how I wanted them to think, feel, and etc. And as I was writing this stuff down, I'm like, damn, this is kind of like, this is kind of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which felt cool to an extent, and I think that's where we got our tagline, "The brand is me," is from. Is because when I was creating a target audience for the brand, I realized these are all the things that I'm interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the things that I clamor onto, and like the things that I really want from a brand.
Yeah.
I was that target consumer, and it didn't happen on purpose. Like I wasn't just writing out like shit that I like to make a target consumer.
Yeah.
I was really like looking at analytics from the last brand. I was looking at like where the current market was and like where everything was headed. And I was like, damn, that's kind of like what I'm into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to your point, you said one thing about how like brands don't necessarily, starting out at least, they don't know who their target consumer is.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, the target consumer thing kind of, for lack of better terms, fucks a lot of brands up at the beginning, because one, they have this idea who they want in their clothes when they're dropping like collections, and like when they're approaching that first collection, they have an idea who they want to see in their clothes. So when they approach their market strategy, when they approach their first launch, they're only speaking or trying to speak directly to that person. Whereas like I think when you first drop your first collection, obviously have your target consumer in mind, but the first person that should be in mind is like the people around you, because the people around you are going to be the people that support, honestly, your first collection.
Yeah.
With TikTok and all that stuff, you can drop a collection and like maybe to reach the target consumer you want off rip. However, like that doesn't happen for 90% of people. Like 99% of people that drop 99% of brands that initially launch, their first collection, their first two collections and shit, even their first three collections are honestly going towards their community that they have already built. So it'd be your 10 friends buy your t-shirt the first time, and then if your 10 friends get a great experience, they'll tell 2 of their friends about it. And then if they get a good experience, like one of each of the people that just found out about it to tell you know, and it just keeps on building and building. And I think a lot of brands at first, they have a lot of problems with dropping collections because they're not creating product that is like relatable to the people around them. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes that's a big miss. You can have aspirations on where you want your brand to be, but I think a lot of times like brands don't know why they missed the mark, and it's primarily because they're trying to go over their community. And let's not say community, because I think community is like a overused word sometimes, but I would say like the people around them. You know what I mean? And you can look at it from a micro scale. Like if I was starting a Philadelphia-based brand in like North Philly somewhere right now, and I've had aspirations of being a high-end brand, if my first product is like a $500 t-shirt, nobody in my community is fucking with that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because one, it's not, if you look at the average household income or just like what poverty is like in Philly, not the average person can afford a $500 t-shirt. So I'm already missing
a big part,
my target consumer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think one thing that you can do, which I tell some people a lot, is that you could have a target consumer in mind. You could also hit your community. The people around you. But over time, you could turn your community into your target consumer with like product storytelling.
Yeah.
If your friends can't dress right now, give them that shit that'll make them swaggy. Over time, don't give it to them in like a big dose at first, but maybe it's you making them like a quality hoodie, and then they'll buy your hoodie and they'll recognize it to be quality, and then now when they look at other hoodies, they're like, yo, this isn't the same. And then after you give them the hoodie, you might give them like a quality t-shirt or a crop t-shirt, and then over time, like they're gonna become used to what you're giving them. And then once you give them something, you'll open up a world to them to fuck with everything that you're interested in over time. You know what I mean? It's like a slow burn. And I think a lot of times right now, people are just thinking everything is so fast, but then also too, people aren't really trying to build.
So and that's kind of key, like world building and getting people into your world and building their taste. Like you're almost exposing people to like a new way of living, and you're guiding them on like what's cool and what's considered good quality. Like that is a part of the process, I feel like, for a brand, especially like a good brand. Like if you want to like have people returning back and like really have that quote unquote cult following, like you want to like be guiding people's taste and world, and like they see you drinking a certain beverage, you're like, damn, I like, what is that? Like that kind of, like you're really putting people on. And I think that's part of the process too.
And it takes time. Like, it takes a lot of time. I think, right now we're in this like belief that, things can happen overnight, which they can, but most likely they won't. And I think slowly building your world is like a real key thing for brands these days, I would say. And you can look at like ALD. I think that's like the biggest brand or example I can think of right now. I was following, I started following that brand back in like what, 2011, 2013-ish. They started out with high quality sweatsuits, and now look what the brand turned into. I don't think the niggas that was wearing high quality sweatsuits back then knew they were gonna start fucking with peacoats.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it happened over time because like, they started with the sweatsuit. They put you on to like a nice high quality cotton button up shirt. And then that turned into the other shit. Clusterfuck of other shit they made.
And then like doing stuff with cars and like building. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper. They just keep adding layers to it.
And then now like, you kind of just built an aesthetic or world over time. So I think that's real key as well.
What's your step-by-step process from idea to launch?
Everything I'm gonna answer has a story to it, so I'll give you a story. So from middle school, I went to this charter school called the Laboratory Charter School. It was like educational boot camp. Like that shit was crazy.
Damn.
And one thing I remember from being there, I oftentimes think about, or used to complain to my parents, like asking them why the fuck did they send me to that school? Like this shit is hell, right? But they really gave me foundations that were like not only applicable for my educational experience for the rest of my life, but also just like for my world experience. And one thing I remember, we used to have like writing class for like an hour and a half each day, like just writing essays and shit. Like shit was crazy. But before writing a paper, you had to do this thing called a web. And when I approach my drops now, I kind of follow that same cadence. When you write a paper, or even when I start with a drop, you start with your prompt. So like your prompt is like, what are you really trying to do? So I really try to identify what the prompt is for me. So if I wanted to approach, a spring summer collection or a fall collection, I'm like, what is it that we're trying to do? Like, let me understand what fall is. Let me understand what the spring is. I know that spring is, kind of the hotter, mid-hot types of months. I know that fall gets kind of cold. So that's going to dictate what my direction is. Once I understand what the prompt is, I then go into like a brainstorming session, and I just throw ideas at the wall that relate to that prompt. So it'd be it could be a sense of, if I'm approaching a fall collection, I'm like, Rugby's, the color brown, pants, beanies, balaclavas, red, blue. It could just be a lot of shit that just feels like fall to me. And I'll throw it at paper. Then once we understand the prompt, we brainstorm a bit. We then create a web. And a web is like the between your brainstorming and your rough draft. It's like you kind of like organize your brainstorming a bit. So when we used to do webs, it was, you had the prompt in the middle in a circle, but then you would have little lines that go to your intro, your first paragraph, your second paragraph, your third paragraph, your fourth paragraph, and your conclusion. So what I do is I have my prompt, and then I'll draw out, it might be statement piece, and our statement piece for the collection could be like our rugby. So then I really identify like how I want that rugby to be. You know what I mean? Another thing that I could draw out from the prompt would be like coloring. So it'd be like, what's our color theme and our color story? You know what I mean? And then from there might be like an underlying story that we have. You know what I mean? And then I'll just draw out little things and details that relate back to the prompt, that stem off my brainstorm.
Yeah.
That kind of, overall create the collection. After that, go into a sampling phase. So I partner with, our technical designer and sampler, I guess.
Yeah.
We just get shit going. So,
nice.
That can appear in like tech sketches at first.
Yeah.
So I always make sure we do technical sketches at first before we start sampling, just so that I can see it make sense on paper.
Yeah.
That usually takes, if we're being efficient, that could take like a week or two.
Okay.
And that's just like a lot of yes, no's, maybe so's, but getting the color scheme and getting the silhouettes right for the collection. And then once that's refined, we hit up the manufacturer and we go right to sampling. And sampling takes about, another, it could take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you really got it like that, or it could take 2-3 months.
Yeah.
But it just takes some time. And I think I skipped over something, but after we create the web, the web, which will be the third part, you then write your rough draft. And the rough draft to me is like the sampling process.
Okay.
I mean? And the sampling process, that's honestly, that takes the longest time. I remember in school when we would write papers, and it's funny because I'm looking back at it now and seeing how much shit makes sense to life.
Yeah.
They would always give us more time to write our rough draft than they would for our final draft, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
So they would give us like a week or 2 weeks to get or like a couple days at least to get our rough draft in.
Yeah.
So, you take some time to really make that rough draft and like to really see and understand what you got going on, and see it in its physical form.
Yeah.
I would say. After you get your rough draft back, you make your edits. Or what I do sometimes, which we'll probably talk about again later, is once I get my rough drafts back, I show them to the homies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to get some opinions on what's going on.
Yeah.
I might show like some of my close friends what I have, get their opinions.
Yeah.
Or people that I really value, at least I'll let them see what we have. And I take some of their feedback in, and I take some of my own feedback, and that might be trying on the item and it fits or it doesn't fit, or I don't like the lift from something, the color doesn't look good, the wash doesn't look good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we might do another sample, do a few more, but eventually we'll get to the final draft. But I would call that phase of after getting the rough draft back like your editing phase. So you send it out to the world, let them say what they do and don't like, and you just edit based off of that. Somewhere while you're editing, you'll get to your final draft.
Yeah.
And that's the copy that you're just ready to submit. I think your rough draft phase and your final draft phase should take, your rough draft phase and your editing phase should take the bulk of your time. But yeah, once we get to a comfortable point to where we feel like the product is ready to get sent or the paper is ready, get graded by the teacher, we submit the final draft. And the final draft for me, from a product standpoint, is ordering, putting that production order in.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because when I approach launches, like I'll have a story in mind while we're creating a product, but I don't think about the marketing until the product is like done.
Gotcha.
But I have the story in mind.
Yeah.
Because I like looking at them in two buckets. I think sometimes you can get so fixated on the marketing that you'll rush the product.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me at least, I like to be able to look at the product and the launch two different ways.
Yeah, because that ultimately would like drive everything else. The product is you need a good product before anything else. Before marketing even starts, like you need to make sure the product is good. People have something that they'll love and cherish for a long time. Yeah,
because one of the brand's big pillars for me at least is like quality.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure that the quality of the product is good, and then we can get into storytelling.
Yeah.
But if the quality of the product isn't good, like the story's gonna be bullshit.
Yeah.
Our storytelling is based on quality.
Yeah.
So I like to make sure that the product itself is like right before we jump into storytelling.
100%. I think it's important.
But yeah, once I get the product back, or even like the production samples back, and I'm fine with it, I sit with the product for maybe about a week and try to figure out ways to connect the story that we're trying to tell to the product, but also to the people that we want to sell it to.
Yeah.
And that can come in a multitude of ways. Right now, the way that our approach drops are, and I want to expand on this a lot more, but right now, for our bigger and marquee drops, we look at it in an approach of like, how can we tell something? How can we tell our story with a video? How can we tell it with some good and interesting product shots?
Yeah.
And then how can we have an editorial that just like really encompasses like the look and feel of the brand?
Yeah.
And for that, at least, you know, I write the story down that we're trying to tell. I'll go on Arena, Pinterest. I think it's like Shot.io. Shot Deck, I think. Yeah, Shot Deck.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And like literally on that website, you can literally type people standing in a hallway, and it'll literally show you like 5,000 photos.
Examples,
or,
yeah.
like, you know, cuts, or angles of people standing in hallways. So once I have my story written down that I want to market with, you know, we just go into like figuring out the ways we want to market and push the product. That'll take maybe about like 6 weeks.
Yeah. And
then I'll say we're ready to launch by that point. One drop in particular that I'm thinking about as we're talking about this is my first drop that I did for the brand. So initially, the first drop was kind of just like the tone setter, I would say, for the brand.
Yeah.
And I knew when we started the brand, I wanted this to be like, you know, menswear with my take on it. I knew that I was heavily interested and inspired by like Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
Rugbies were one of my favorite items
for sure
to wear. So obviously for the first drop, I'm like, fuck it, we're gonna do a rugby.
Yeah.
Once I set in on the fact that I wanted to do a rugby, I started thinking about colors. At that time, I was really interested in like pastel pink.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we have one right now.
Fire.
Still am interested in pastel pink and like a salmon color. So when we approached the drop, definitely want to do something with some pink. Yeah. So, you know, as I was in that brainstorming webbing phase, I was like, yo, what colors bounce off of pink well? And I was like, oh shit, brown. Like, I fuck with brown too. I saw that brown and pink meshed pretty well. I knew I didn't want to do one rugby, so I'm like, all right, we'll do a pink and brown rugby. What color bounces off of brown pretty well? Like a cream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I bought that one.
Yeah, you did, I think. So, you know, then now we have our color story. We have a brown and pink rugby, and then we have a brown and pink, and then a brown and cream rugby.
Yeah.
So we had 2 rugbies. So that was our product. Once I started sampling the product, honestly, like the first couple samples were shit. Like they weren't good at all.
Yeah.
But once we got to the point of where I'm like, all right, this product is pretty good, I started thinking about the marketing.
Yeah.
I was able to sit on the product for a little bit, and I looked at the rugbies for like about maybe a week or so, and I started thinking, I'm like, yo, what story can I create that feels personal, that like connects to this? And I started thinking, and I was thinking, at the time, I really fucked with ice cream. I was really interested in like opening my own like store, and I was thinking about how the store could like have some ice cream in it. I really don't eat ice cream like that anymore. But one thing I thought about for like, you know, ice cream or having an ice cream shop is that if you want to have a successful ice cream shop where you have like flavors like Rocky Road or cookies and cream or all the other ice cream flavors, you really need to have good foundational flavors. Yeah. And the foundational flavors of an ice cream shop are your chocolate, your vanilla, and your strawberry. And I'm like, shit, I have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry for these rugby colors. Yeah. And this is also my first drop. So I think the story that we want to tell for this one is that we're laying the foundation to create a brand that's going to sell you like Rocky Roads and like all this cool shit later. Yeah. But with this color story and with this drop, we're really trying to lay the foundation on like what we want to build upon eventually. And if we can't master this right here, then eventually we can't go on and like give you the thing. Yeah. I think the story for that one was like, you know, rugby is going to be a big pillar for the brand, and everything we're doing within this first year, at least, is going to be a big pillar for the brand. So in phase 1, that was our story. We're just laying the foundation. And with that collection, the colors that we use, we set the tone as like, this is like laying the foundation for like what we're creating for the brand, and, you know, related it back to ice cream. It was a pandemic, so we couldn't really shoot in an ice cream shop at the time. But I was able to tell that story with, you know, the product naming, calling it strawberry and chocolate. Or, I was able to tell that story with like the candies that we gave and, you know, all that stuff. So
I like that. That was a cool way to like add to the packaging, was like tossing the candies inside.
Yeah, candies. And I think at that time they were like chocolate, strawberry flavored thing. And, you know, that was back then. So I think over time we've grown with our storytelling. But I remember that one in particular, it was like laying the foundation. And I was like, how can I connect this collection and the color story that we're using to like laying a foundation? Yeah. It's like ice cream. there it is.
Yeah, and I think it also sets the tone, especially as a brand, to come out swinging with like a cut and sew item instead of like a t-shirt. Like that also is setting the foundation for the rest of the brand to be like, we are like, we can take storytelling and product making, like we're just taking this to a whole new level.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I know you don't like the word community, but how do you involve your community in creating or launching a collection?
Well, I like the word. I like community. I just think like people
Overuse it. Yeah.
Overuse it. And I'm gonna say and I think a lot because this is on the
That's
fly.
fine. Yeah.
But I think right now people use the word community as a group of people that they can commoditize to an extent and monetize almost.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's how we should look at community, but that's another topic. But I think the way that I look at community, it's not necessarily like as someone I want to monetize. It's just like the people that I want to kind of feel familiar or identify with the brand, I would say at least.
Yeah.
I think with Honor Society, and I'm going to speak real candidly, so apologies, but I think one of the reasons why that brand failed is not failed, but didn't go where I wanted it to go was for one of the same reasons that we talked about earlier. Like I overlooked the people that were around me with that product. So, my friends were predominantly black and brown.
Yeah.
And I was shooting with like white people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My friends were wearing, or the people around me were wearing certain items, and I'm out here making like silk shorts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like neglected and like overlooked the people around me per se. Whereas now when I approach, the brand Frederick Scott, for one, I'm making sure that the people that are around me and the models that we use and things like that, they kind of can connect and relate.
Yeah.
There's some type of like relatability,
I
would say. But then also too, I'm looking at the things that the people around me wear and just figuring out ways for me to make them better.
That's
I can see a homie have like a shitty t-shirt on, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna make a better t-shirt for you. You know what I mean? Philadelphia is a big pillar for the brand. The way we approach price points, I think that's very community oriented.
Yeah.
I know what people can afford here, you know what I mean? And I want people to wear the things that we're making here. So I try to have like a pretty competitive price point to just, make it work for the people here.
Yeah.
So the way I approach community is just making people feel as though the brand is for them, I would say. Like everything we do to some extent is inviting for, the people around me, but then also the people that the audience or, per se here.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's just welcoming. And I think that's the big thing that I think is the biggest foundation point of community is like being open armed and welcoming.
Yeah.
So when I approach the brand, at least that's like a big thing for us. Just like, I want this shit to be inviting. And then once you come in, there's a lot here for you. You know what I mean?
And I think you do that too with the people you work with and like the people you include in, like you're saying, in the shoots who you cast.
Yeah. Even
in the videos, like seeing people that I know in your campaigns, like I think that's so cool. Like it makes it even more relatable and be like, damn, like this is so cool to see everyone coming together in this way.
Yeah, it's like just meeting everybody where we're all at. You know what I mean? I don't want you to feel like, I don't want somebody to feel as though like, I don't know, this shit is just unattainable. Like I want it to feel like, I want a kid to buy the brand and then they'll be like, I want to shoot for Frederick Scott. Maybe that should happen one day.
Yeah. For a multi-piece collection, how do you decide what product or what piece is going to be like the main hero item?
That's a good question. I think
is it a feeling? Is it like the amount? Is it like how much it costs, or like is it?
That's a good question.
Like I feel like for when we were running all caps, like for me it was mostly based on a feeling. I was like, I love this piece, and I would try to like put more energy towards it. But sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But I'm curious to see how you might approach it.
Yeah, I would say honestly from a brand standpoint. So I'm gonna speak in two tones. So I'm gonna speak from having a brand, but then also working in marketing.
Yeah.
So like from my brand standpoint, I would say it's more so a feeling. Like sometimes you just like you see a piece and it's the star of the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say for me it's a feeling. And then honestly, from the way that we feel, we approach the way that we buy the product.
Yeah.
So it might be us having like 3 hoodies, and that pink hoodie just might be calling my name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? we're going to buy 70 of those and 40 of the other ones.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? And sometimes, honestly, that shit doesn't work because people will buy the other ones.
yeah.
But
For sure.
but I would say for me, it's more so a feeling. I think from a marketing standpoint, when I was working at Atmos, at least, it came in twofold. For one, when we had like hype, if we were dropping, I don't know, like an Air Jordan 4 collection, it was like an Air Jordan 4 and like a bullshit Air Jordan 3 in the pack. If the 4 was the thing that would drive hype and demand from the consumer, that would obviously be the hero moment, even though we might have more volume of the other sneaker.
Yeah.
So sometimes product that drives exclusivity could be the hero piece. And you see that with a lot of streetwear brands now, or like the piece that they want to sell out first, or the piece that they'll have less quantity in, they'll create something that like
it's like the urgency to buy it, right?
Urgency to buy it, and then everything else is like, well, you're on our site already. Like, you can get this, like you can get this, you can get this.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I would say, but I'll also say now, like even looking at my job currently, and I hear them talk about, how to approach launches and things. I think a lot of times they put a lot of dollars or severity interest behind products that they have high unit counts of. So if there's something on the calendar that has 5,000 units and something else that has 20 units on it, they're like, we got to put some big marketing energy behind that thing that's 5,000 units versus something that's 20 units and we know it's going to sell out quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would say now, honestly, with brands, and this is honestly the way that we approach things, we kind of scale our offerings out a bit. So we haven't put out a collection that has more than 5 pieces in it yet. And it's because we want to tell stories with all those products right now.
Yeah.
And eventually those stories would have been told so much in like the next 2 to 3 years that when those things appear in collections, you already know what it is.
Yeah.
You'll know who the consumer is. The consumer will know what it is. We'll have some like ethos behind that product. So then maybe that product can stand in the back to something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now I'm just building out a product selection that like, we're speaking to all our product. Like we dropped a collection last year with just a t-shirt, like a basic white tee, and we story told with that.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be something that's in our fall collection this year. But we won't have to speak to it again because we spoke to it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we gave it its own stage a while ago. So
yeah, running a brand, you also need to make sure that people are buying stuff. So what's the balance between like your storytelling approach versus like marketing, like call to action, purchase now kind of marketing?
That's a great question because I'm honestly trying to answer that for myself now.
Yeah.
I think in order to scale, I think in 2014. Like the brands that were cool post the lease. Like, all the brands that I really fucked with back in the day, they probably post like 3 or 4 times. And wouldn't post again until they dropped something else. And that just was like, that was cool as fuck back then.
Yep.
Whereas now, I still think that approach could work, but it's very far and few for the brands that it works for.
Yeah.
I think now it's all about how can you remain in like these kids' face or like the consumer's face at all times because there's just so much product and stuff coming out. Like you could work 10 months or 10 years at least on like a hoodie and you'll tell that story and literally the kid will like your post. Maybe an hour later they'll scroll their story and there's a brand with a targeted ad with the same exact fucking hoodie that you're about to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know right now our unique selling point is our storytelling. Yeah. So we try to make sure we're always telling the story. And then call to action. I think it's just like eliminating the pride and just like knowing that we have to push this product. So I don't know if that necessarily answers the question, I would say.
Yeah. No,
but I think I used to look at things from a 3 post approach. And the way that I would look is inform the consumer, launch the product, and then sustain, and then FOMO. So we would have 1 informative post. We would have our drop posts. Well, we have 2 informative posts, then our drop posts, and then we'll usually have a post that would drive like, sustain the launch. So we would look at drops from like a 4 post look and feel, and then on our stories we would repost people wearing the product for like FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And that was just 4 or 5 posts. But now when I approach the drops, I'm trying to look at them more so from like maybe like 6 to 7 posts. So how can we, in that intro phase, how can we have instead of 2 posts, maybe like 3 posts? And in that drop phase, how can we, instead of 1 post, how can we do 2 or 3? How can we sustain the drop for maybe 2 or 3 weeks with like another 2 or 3 posts, and then what is it that we could do that like again like sells the product while like remaining cool, you know what I mean? Because there is a boundary. Like, I don't want you to slap this product in my face every day, because then it's like, damn, nigga. But on the other end, it's like, also don't want you to not know that this product is here, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I honestly think that's really up to the owner of the brand, but I will tell you that like just posting 3 times doesn't work anymore. Like,
for sure,
you need more than that.
I learned that too. We used to do the disappear method a lot with all caps. We used to like post. I was looking back at our account a couple of days ago, and we used to post like 4 or 5 times about a job, and disappear for like 2 months, and then post 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
And that worked. That was like, we used to go crazy with that. But in 2024, things changed completely. Like, the way people consume is different. There's new channels now. People are like buying stuff on TikTok Shop, and like all these different new, like, consumerism, and like the way people buy brands changed dramatically. And that approach didn't work. So yeah, we learned that the hard way.
Yeah, and I mean, and honestly too, like, a lot of these brands now just have different ways, and the ways to sell to you without them feeling like they're selling to you. Like, one brand in particular that I think about is that brand Minted in New York City.
They do a good job.
Like, they have their drop cadence, but then they have a YouTube video that comes out every fucking week, and they're wearing the product in that video. You know what I mean? And they're posting the clips of that video on TikTok, and then like, you know, there's so many ways that, you know, they're selling not only this product but that lifestyle, wanting that product to them. And I think honestly, that might be, and I don't know this to be true all the way, but that might be the thing. When you create like a lifestyle for your brand, you can post as many times as you want, as long as like everything kind of relates back to that lifestyle and overall look and feel that you're doing. You know what I mean?
100%. Mint is a good case study.
I think it's a great case study for sure.
Long form, all that. Building lifestyle. Walk us through a recent shoot. I think one of your, like, the way you approach on location lookbooks is probably like, you're one of my favorites.
Oh, fire. Thanks.
So how do you go from concept to like location to shot list? Like, what's your approach to like building that lookbook world?
I think honestly, right now, the way that we approach location shoots is just like, you know, obviously storytelling, familiarity. I mean, storytelling, quality, and all those things are real big to the brand. We talk about community and like having things feel inviting. But I think one way that you can make things feel inviting is making them feel familiar. So right now, the way that we approach our shoots is like, how can we find, what are these places in the city of Philadelphia that people know? And how can we make them feel elevated while also feeling familiar? Like, I want you to, in our lookbooks, I want you to be like, damn, how the fuck did they make Chinatown look so cool? You know what I'm saying? Which it already looks cool. But like, how did they make that look so cool? One of my favorite shoots in particular that we shot on location was our first location shoot in the Italian market. We shot that with my homie Sebastian. He shot that one, and we used my homie Rico as a model. And it was funny, like, we literally were looking all over the city for a location, and then we just walked around I walked around the Italian market, and I just felt like kind of at peace. Like, it just felt like, I remember walking around the Italian market when I was younger with my aunt for like, because she was a caterer and we had to get food and stuff. And I remember going to the Italian market after school in 9th grade and like getting dollar slices with the homies. Dollar slices don't exist anymore in Philly, but like, I remember running around there after school, and like, I used to remember when I was walking around there, kind of scouting a bit, it just felt kind of homey. To an extent. I'm not from South Philly, but the Italian market was always somewhere I was at. So it just felt right. You know what I mean? So I guess your question is, how do we pick locations?
Like, what's your process from like finding the location to match the clothes, like the concept, and how do you break that down to like, how do you just make sense of the location? Like, how do you make sure like it feels right with the collection you're trying to drop? And like, are you then breaking it down to shot lists, and then are you like finding specific people to work with? Like, what's the process usually like?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna try to give a quick answer, but it's probably not gonna be quick. So as we talked about before, I look at the product in its own bucket. Once we approach marketing, I think for the marketing at least, and when I say marketing, I mean so like our editorials and our photo shoots. I think the big thing for us is like, how can we relate the storytelling to the marketing, but then also how can we make the brand just feel like familiar to the consumer? So I try to find like some connective tissue between the product and the way that we want to market, which is honestly just the story itself.
So you often preview your sketches and colors and like your ideas on close friends.
Yeah.
How do you use this channel? And like for you, is it a way to like validate ideas? I mean, you were mentioning this a bit earlier, but how do you use that? I feel like that's such a unique form of like getting feedback, and I feel like feedback is such an important step in any creative process, from like being a designer, photographer, all that. It's kind of a vulnerable place, like to be able to share something you've created with people that you trust.
Yeah.
It's like, that's such a scary thing. And I feel like your way of doing that is smart. It uses like use of modern technology to like be able to access people in a like an effective way. And you also can get the end result, which is the feedback.
Yeah.
And is that the way you use the close friends, is like for testing ideas?
Yeah. So I use my close friends on Instagram, and I also use my Twitter to test ideas. My close friends on Instagram right now is just like a clusterfuck of people that I'm cool with. So I might post funny memes in there, just say some dumb shit in there.
Yeah.
But then it's also people that like I appreciate, their style, their take something, and just like the way that they think.
Yeah.
So again, once we I never go into I don't post anything into my close friends that's like just the concept. It's more so like the product, like our samples, or like
gotcha,
our rough drafts, because like I already know what I want to do conceptually.
Yeah.
But I get feedback on our rough drafts and our samples. I mean, our rough drafts and the close friends.
Yeah.
And honestly, like people, when it's in the close friends, people give you like responses, like, you know what I mean? And then because they're all the homies, they feel like this is like a safe space.
Yeah, it feels like special. Like even for me, like when I see that pop up, I already know it's going to be either something funny or like a new product.
Yeah.
So like I'm always looking forward to seeing that, and I'm like, see you developing it and like making changes to stuff. Like I think it's a cool way.
Yeah, because like even the drop that by the time this comes out, they'll probably dropped already. But we're working on these like vintage shorts. I think I showed those to my close friends maybe like a year ago, just for like the silhouette. Yeah. And I believe when I dropped them to my close friends, some people were just like, yo, you should change this on them. Like, you should do this. Like, you should make the nylon a little bit, like, more crinkly. Like, use a different drawstring. But the overall look and feel for what you got right now is dope. So, it took a year, not, like, consistently, but it took a year for us to get it right. And then when we posted the second copy in our close friends, people were like, yo, like, that color is fire. Like, you should think of another color that looks like this. You should put the tag on the leg and not the back pocket. Like, it was just little things, but I ask specific questions on what I want to get out of it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't just post something in the close friends or on Instagram or on Twitter with no caption. I'll usually have like, yo, what do you think about this coloring? Yeah. What do you think about this tag placement? Like, I get what I want to, like, you know what I mean? I'm real specific in what
You're prompting people to like get like you're guiding their thought almost to like what you want them to answer.
And I think a lot of times as creatives, and like one thing I learned at work at least is that when you ask for feedback, you should be real specific in the feedback that you want. Yeah. Because if you don't, people are just going to tell you shit you don't want to hear. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like if I'm already set on dropping a pair of shorts and I ask somebody what do they think of these shorts, and they're just like, these are ass, and you're just like, right, you're not helping me out here. But if you're saying like, yo, what do you feel about the length of this pair of shorts, or what do you think about the coloring, you can get a lot more of the answers that you're looking for rather than some like an open-ended response. So I'm very specific in like the way that I ask for feedback.
I love that. I think that's smart.
And then I think Twitter, because we mentioned Twitter, X.com. Yeah. RIP Twitter. RP. On X, people look at X as like a close friends type thing too. You know what I mean? I think sometimes it's like not the best thing to do to follow somebody on Twitter or X, at least unprovoked. Like, if you're dating somebody or like you just became homies with somebody, they usually ask you like, yo, like, can I follow you on here? You know what I mean? Because those are your thoughts, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think the people in the community that I've like cultivated on X, they give pretty good feedback as well. Yeah. And it's kind of like an open forum too. So, if they really fuck with the item, they'll retweet it, they'll engage with it, they'll comment on it. And, over time, one of the things I love about X is that, it shares your stuff organically with like minds. So if your homie that's real into fashion likes it or retweets it,
yeah,
it'll go to his homies that are into fashion that likes and retweets, and they might comment on it or they might see it.
yeah,
And then it just creates like a, sometimes an infinite like feedback loop from people.
Yeah.
That you know.
Catches the algorithm.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a time where feedback changed your direction, or like have you followed through with someone's feedback, or maybe general consensus of a change?
Yeah, I think, and again, I'm gonna be real specific. Yeah, 2 years ago, we were like introducing our hoodie, like our basic hoodie. When I approached our hoodie, I thought it had to be something super complex. So
yeah,
I had like a pullover hoodie with like a cell phone pocket and an acid wash and like embroidery on the fucking hood and all this shit. And somebody was like, I posted it in the close friends, I think. And somebody was like, yo, why are you making this shit like so complicated, bro? Like, and I was like, what you mean? They was like, yo, I'll fuck with I rock with the cell phone pocket, but the cell phone pocket, the wash and the embroidery, it feels like you're like kind of like acting outside of yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was creating that hoodie, I wanted to create something that was kind of unique. You know what I mean? It wasn't really, I think I was designing at that point from a place that didn't feel, I was trying to design for what people wanted or what I thought the market wanted and not necessarily what I wanted. You know what I mean? Because any day of the week, I'll wear a blank hoodie with a nice wash, a good color.
Yeah.
I don't need the extra pockets and like all that shit. But like that's what I wanted to make at the time because, I was seeing that from other brands. And honestly, they just told me to stick to what I know, keep it simple, and just kind of like scale back on it. Honestly, that was some of the best advice I got at the time because not only did it pivot the design of our hoodie, but it also just pivoted like the way I thought about the brand moving forward again. Like just keep it simple. Like, like would you wear this shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wore that hoodie. You know what I mean? However, like I wear our hoodies now like every day.
Yeah.
Just off of the strength of it being like very simple.
Yeah.
Quality focus. Like we're not doing too much, but we're doing enough. So
so feedback can be a powerful tool if you know how to prompt. And
but I think also too, like one thing about feedback is everybody has their own opinions, but you have to have discernment in knowing what feedback
is good feedback.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that takes time. I think it starts with an understanding of self. You know what I mean? And understanding of what you're doing. And then you'll be able to take that feedback. I've had people tell me that like the rugbies, like they don't fuck with rugbies. Why am I making rugbies?
Yeah.
If I would have listened to that feedback, we wouldn't have rugbies. You know what I mean? And it's like the rugbies are like quintessential or essential to the brand. So, that's not necessarily the feedback that I need. Maybe from that feedback, I can figure out a way to tailor the rugby for that person.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to cut the rugbies or, some of our other items, Somebody could have told me, like, we don't need another T-shirt or, like, a blank T-shirt. Why are you making a blank T?
Yeah.
And then it's just figuring out how to make the blank T-shirt work for them or just realizing we're not selling, we're not selling to that person.
Yeah, that might not be your audience.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you balance creativity with the realities of running a business?
There comes a point where you have to sit down and really realize why you're doing this. You know what I mean? I think the initial phase of starting a brand or, a new project, I would call it like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Especially when you get the ball rolling quick. Like you're just putting out shit that you like, people are buying it, like it's cool, like they're fucking with the way you're dropping product, you know what I mean? They fuck with your like authentic voice and shit.
Yeah.
But then it comes a point where that kind of like slows up and then you have to really like run a business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big turning point for a lot of brands because it's like, damn, like I was just doing some cool shit.
Yeah. It's truly like an entrepreneur's journey. Like you started almost as a designer or a creative person, and then you enter to like entrepreneur phase.
Yeah.
Like you got to learn how to scale and like how to sell product. Like you got to think about all those things, which you at first, at least I didn't think about that.
Oh no,
I was just making stuff.
See, I thought about it at first, but I actually wasn't. We were like the brand's bank account was like my second checking account. It was like an old checking account that I didn't use anymore. But I think at some point you have to ask yourself the question: are you trying to just do a cool project or a cool business? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for a while, within the first 2-3 years of the brand, we had a real cool project, but a bad business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not so good business. Like we're making money, but there are so many points that we could have made a lot more money.
Yeah.
Or the numbers could have been better if we would have applied practical business practices to just the way we did things.
Yeah.
Like, why weren't we collecting email subscribers or SMS subscribers? Why weren't we launching targeted ads or like doing these things that successful businesses in the space do right now?
Yeah.
And that's because it was a project. It wasn't a business. I think as of late, candidly, I've been pretty quiet within the past like year and a half because I'm trying to figure out the frameworks for making this a business.
Yeah.
But I think to answer your question, how do you balance it? I don't think there's really, I think there are creative approaches to doing the things that are quintessential for a business. And I think you need to figure out what are the things that make your business work and what are the things that connect you to your consumer. But then how can you amplify those things or practices by doing practical business? Very vague, but
yeah.
I think there are fundamental practices that you need to follow to have a business.
For sure. Absolutely.
And I think also realize that the wheel, like everybody's done it already. So you can look at the businesses that you fuck with and just figure out cool ways to do the shit they're doing. You know what I mean? Or, I don't know. There's always a cool way of doing something practical. So I would just figure out like.
Yeah. Like, do you also have other people helping in that space, like the business side, or are you?
Yeah, we just I have a project manager and like a business
like
consultant. Yeah, right now. But even one thing I think about at least is like we were getting so many abandoned carts when we first started, and eventually like the product would sell, so I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But now we need abandoned cart on our Squarespace and Shopify.
Yeah.
So obviously we send out messages for abandoned cart, but I'm like, how can I do something that's like cool that feels like Frederick Scott, but also like we can get that money from abandoned cart.
Yeah.
And I send the email that's like, yo, what's good? See the product. What's going on? I see the product. You didn't check out on the product.
Yeah.
Here's a discount code.
Yeah.
And like just some cool witty shit in the email.
Yeah.
It feels personable. It feels like something that would come from me.
Yeah.
And it's not as like structured, but it still gets the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's like one.
That's a good tactic for people to use. How do you mentioned this earlier about pricing, but how do you think about pricing for your brand? You said earlier, like you're thinking about community when you're thinking about pricing, like making it so that people that are closer to you can attain it. But yeah, how do you think about pricing in general for your brand?
So I look at pricing from like two approaches. Like one, obviously, like it costs a pretty penny to make some things. So sometimes those things have to be priced appropriately.
Yeah.
But right now for the brand, I kind of price my I kind of bucket our product in like, right now it's 2 buckets, but it eventually be like 3 or 4. So I have like our under $100 items. So those are our hoodies, our t-shirts, our beanies, sweatpants, and all those like essential core items.
Yeah.
And the way I approach those is just like, that's our volume play. So we're not really looking to like, we're not really looking to make like a 600% margin on those items.
Yeah.
We're also looking to sell 600 of those items. It might cost us $60 to make a hoodie, and we sell it for $100, which I don't think you should do that. It costs you $60 to make a hoodie, sell it for more.
Yeah.
But it might cost us that much to make a hoodie. We sell it for $100.
Yeah.
But we know this is an entry point item within the brand. So if somebody fucks with our hoodie and they fuck with a bunch of our hoodies, they'll maybe try our overshirts out.
Yeah.
That are priced at $180. You know what I mean? And even our t-shirts, we know that a basic t-shirt, you can get one from Uniqlo for like $20, $25. And we sell them in packs for $50. I think right now it costs us maybe like $20, $23 landed to make those. And we're selling the pack for $50. I mean, some people say we're underpricing it, but I look at it as more so like it's an entry level item. So you fuck with our t-shirt, you'll eventually go on the road of like fucking with our hoodie.
Yeah.
That hoodie will get you down the road of fucking with our overshirt.
Yeah.
But I look at our hoodies and our like lower price items, not lower price items, but our lower margined items as our volume plays and our entry points. Like we're going to get you in by selling you in on like good quality, decent price.
Yeah.
I'm cool with buying 600 hoodies versus 100.
100%.
I'd rather get 600 new consumers in.
Yeah.
And they say they have the best quality hoodie that they could have got at this price point.
Yeah.
Because then maybe 200 of that 600, the goal is for 200 of that 600 to then
stay around,
buy some of those like higher priced items or like, those properly margined items at least.
Yeah. And now they're in like the email flow, you can market it to them. You have like the information. Now they're in your world.
Yeah. And I think like eventually over time too, like, you know, our hoodie prices and our t-shirt prices, as our audience develops, like our product cost is going to go down because instead of us ordering 100 units, we might be able to order 500, and that takes our product cost down maybe like $4. You know what I mean? $5. And over time, that's like, so I think honestly, again, it's just like a slow burn. Like right now, we could be selling our hoodies. If I told you the price that we're getting our hoodies for, like we could be selling them for 150, but we're selling them at 100 for the pullover, and I think 110 for the zip up.
Yeah.
We're making money off of it, so we're not giving them out for free. But
yeah. Sometimes you gotta do that though. Sometimes you gotta like price it in a way that you know like it's gonna be what marketers call like top of funnel. Like you want to get those people in, and then once they're in, they get to buy the medium funnel, which is like your flannels and stuff, and then once it gets to the bottom, it's like the varsity jacket. That's like $600. Yeah.
So it's like we'll get them. I mean, our top of funnel play is like you're saying. It's like more so a volume game.
Yeah.
So our goal is to sell 1,000 hoodies.
Yeah.
400 for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's smart. Beyond revenue, what's a metric that you use to understand that something has worked? Is it like IRL conversations? Is it like DMs? People hit you out? Is it like story posts? Is there like something that you write? Maybe you're not writing down on paper, but something that you track in some way that lets you know that you've done something right?
I want to say likes sometimes, but
yeah,
it's weird because likes are kind of based off of shareability. So like if people are sharing your stuff, people are going to be liking it. But I would say honestly like community feedback, and I just could come from like people saying, "Yo, bro, this is hard," or fire emojis, like this shoot is crazy.
Like in the DMs, in the comments,
DMs, comments. Yeah, I would say, and honestly, over time you realize that stuff doesn't always translate to sales.
For sure.
But I think if people are talking about us, eventually we can translate those things into sales. So I would say comments, shares, and just overall like a decent like public or, you know, outward like perception of what we got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think over time, like that stuff would translate into, if you do keep them consistently putting out good things, like eventually that translate into sales.
Yeah. As you scale, what is a brand ritual? Like maybe it's pop-ups or maybe it's like adding special elements inside packaging. What is like something that you think is a non-negotiable for like preserving your storytelling, authenticity, and just the brand as a whole?
So I'll look at it in three. I mean, they're all kind of the same thing, but another story. So when I had my first brand, Honor Society, we did a collection where we dropped T-shirts that had like floral sleeves and shit on it.
I remember that.
However, like from the time of purchase to when they got to the consumer, it might have took like 3 weeks. So we would collect their money, and then maybe 3 weeks later you'll get their product.
I know this too well.
Yeah. And this is like back in like 2014 when like you know, e-commerce shit was still kind of new.
True. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I think also too back in 2013 people were getting scammed mad more online.
Yeah. So
I remember at one point I had an email full of people. It might have been like 10 people, and they're just like, "Yeah, where's my shit? Like, what's up?" And I'm like 17 years old. No, I was 16. Whatever. I was young at the time, and I'm just like, "Fuck!" Like I don't know what to do. What's going on? So I remember I finally got everybody's product, and I was just like, "Damn, I don't know what to do." Like I sent emails out saying sorry. Yeah. My mom was just like, "Yo, get a note card and just like write, hey, I apologize for the delay. Like." This is my first drop. Like, I hope that we can maintain you as a customer. Like, super apologetic. I sent all those orders out. Maybe 5 people hit me up. Was like, yo, bro, I really appreciate the message that you wrote inside. Like, damn, I didn't know I was buying stuff from a kid. Like, really, really fuck with it. I had a guy even repost on his actual Instagram feed, just like, yo, just cop one of the best items from a kid. Like, he wrote me this note. It took long, but yada, yada, yada. And I think since then, I realized that like notes for product is like a non-negotiable for me. So I always have to write a note. And it's funny I say that because there's definitely like the past couple products that I've shipped out, we haven't had our note cards, so I haven't been able to put some notes in them. But I always feel bad when I don't put a note in there. But yeah, when we ship out product, I want there to always be a note that's thanking the consumer for like their purchase. Non-negotiable is also candy. Like we definitely have to put something sweet. So yeah, notes, candy. But it's more so from like a marketing standpoint, I would say. I think each season now, we're definitely trying to have people come out for something. So this fall, we're thinking to do our first pop up. We done events, but we haven't done like a pop up where people are able to like feel the brand and cop for like around a launch. So we'll be doing our first pop up. I think we're gonna try to do one every season. So fall, winter, spring, summer, try to do a pop up.
Yeah.
But then also have an event that kind of isn't product focused as well. So how could that look? It might be like a wine mixer, like a DJ, and like you come out to a spot, drink some wine, and just meet some people. You know what I mean? But you'll still be able to say that like Frederick Scott and the brand, cultivated that experience for you.
Yeah.
And like you'll spend money there, but we're not pushing product. It's more so pushing like
the world
almost to an extent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say those things. Definitely notes, and the notes can extend beyond like just some sense of like personableness. Like I want you to know that you're buying from a person. You know what I mean? I want you to know that like a person is packing your order. A pop-up experience is going to always be keen. Well, is going to be keen for us moving forward in the future. And then I guess like another non-negotiable for me, like our captions. Like I just want you to feel like I wrote this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just want you to read it and be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I want you to read it and just feel like, again, I guess that's just personableness. I just want you to feel like this is all coming from a person, and like you're buying from a person, and and I mean it's hard to do it though as you scale, because the more orders you get, the more notes you got to write, and the more candy you got to buy.
It's hard to scale.
Yeah, and it's hard to scale. Actually, I wouldn't say that it's hard. It's not hard, but it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like all the tools for scaling are always in front of you. It's just like
do it.
In on them. You know what I mean?
Do the work.
Yeah, do the work.
What is one thing you wish you knew before your first drop?
The one thing I wish I knew before my first drop was that this shit is gonna take time. You know what I mean? I think like a lot of times when you approach, even honestly, when you approach any goal, like you look at it as, oh, this shit's gonna like in a year I'm gonna be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or this shit, like you just see it happening so quick. And I wish I knew after my first drop that there were going to be a lot of bumps in the road. I think I was privileged before the Frederick Scott brand launched to have worked at Atmos, so I understood like fashion culture a bit, or fashion a bit more than probably my counterparts did. Yeah. From like a marketing standpoint, but also a product standpoint. Yeah. But then I also had a brand before, so I learned some lessons in just like launching product before. So like when I approach this brand, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take all my lessons that I learned from all these places and not have to learn shit anymore because I already know it all. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that wasn't the case. I wish I would have been able to inform myself that like, you know, you might know some things now, but you're gonna learn even more shit, and you're gonna fail a lot more now too, because you do know so much. So like the stakes are a bit higher. So yeah, I wish I would have just allowed myself to like embrace the ride a bit more, or like the, you know, what we're going on more. Yeah. Because I think at a lot of times, at least, you know, especially for this brand, you know, shit gets like kind of like, especially when you think you know so much, like shit gets dark so quick. Cause you're like, damn, like I thought, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I did all this stuff prior to this, and now it's still not working. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and you know, I probably just got out of one of those like dark phases, maybe like honestly like 4 months ago. Yeah. Cause I was just so fixated, like, you know, not fixated, but I was just, when I was 27, and I was thinking about this brand, I'm like, yo, when I turn 30, shit gonna be lit. Yeah. And it's definitely lit now, but it's not as like it's different than what I imagined, you know what I mean? And I think that's that's for the better, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just, you know, I wish I would have told myself to like, you might know some stuff, but you're gonna learn a lot more. 100%. The way that you learn is gonna show up as failure, you know what I mean? At the time, or just not getting it right. Yeah. But yeah. And
perseverance.
Yeah, perseverance, man. Having some discipline too.
If someone were to reach out to you today with 2K, 300 followers, trying to figure out a way to launch their next drop, what is a homework assignment you would give them?
I would ask them, have you done your research? Like, what are you trying to do? So if you're trying to drop a t-shirt, have you looked for print shops yourself? Have you tried using Photoshop?
Yeah.
Have you realized that you're kind of ass at Illustrator? Like,
Yeah.
like what have you done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So far?
Yeah. Screen printing and
yeah, screen printing. Like, do you know what kind of print you want? Like, what do you know? So that's what I would ask you first. Like, have you done your research? Like, if they've done their research and they're trying to approach a drop. So do they have the product in hand right now, or is it like what part of their hand?
Let's say they do have it in hand.
Okay, and they had $2,000. How much product do they have?
50 T's.
50 T's.
Yeah.
How many SKUs? Like 2, 3.
1.
All right. Well, let's look at it at 3 because I think that's what my.
All right.
I was like, damn, you said 1. So what I would do is I would tell them to roll their launch out as if they were their favorite rapper. I'll relate this back. Is like anytime like a new rapper comes out, they're not dropping albums, they're dropping singles.
Yeah.
And they're putting like energy behind those singles.
Yeah.
And once they build enough energy with singles, they then put out albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say if you have 3 t-shirts, don't look at those t-shirts as one drop. Look at them at 3 different drops. You've already did like most of the work. So now you have like, if you look at them at 3 drops, think about it like this. Like, 1, you'll be able to storytell with one particular item. The storytelling will probably cost a little bit less. But then also, 2, to the end consumer, you'll look mad consistent.
Yeah. Because
they'll be like, damn, Fred is dropping like every month. And it's just 1 T each month. Yeah. Whereas if you drop all those T's at once and you don't drop for like another 6 months, they're like, damn, this nigga inconsistent as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would say spread out your launch. Another thing I would say, find community to an extent. So don't utilize the photographer that's going to charge you like $1,800 or $2,000 for your shoot.
Yeah.
Find somebody that you can build with and pay them. Figure out a rate that works for both of you guys and pay them.
Yeah.
And figure out a way to grow with them. So they might not be the best shooter now.
Yeah.
But over time, you guys can like build an aesthetic to get to where you want to be. And then I would just invest in like your team or community. Figure out ways to space out your product, because I think that'll help that $2,000 stretch a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, just figure out your why. Like, really hone in on that why.
Yeah.
And honestly, all the shit I said is kind of free besides the photographer. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just really figure out why the fuck you're doing this shit. But also, like, do the research. And research can come in a multitude of ways. Like, you could pay for research. You could, you know what I mean?
Take courses.
I wouldn't invest heavily in, like, ads and shit early on. I would kind of try to keep it organic.
Yeah.
Like, a little bit, especially with, like, such a low product count. I wouldn't pay to see people. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't do that shit. My bad.
Yeah.
People do it by all means. But yeah, with 2K, I would just really make sure you've done the research. There's books you can buy about textiles. There's books you could buy about everything. There's courses you could take online.
Yeah. So just cover the basics. Make sure you get the website, domain, LLC, all that stuff.
Shit. Yeah. My bad. Website, domain, LLC. Well, make sure you get your LLC first to make sure that you can even get the name for the brand that you're trying to put out.
Yeah.
If you already don't have one, get a logo, and get something that, you know, kind of is unique, but also legible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the legibleness is like real keen. Like, make sure people can know what the fuck they're looking at. Once you have those 2 things, I would say get a Shopify.
Yep.
Or a Squarespace. Actually get a Shopify. I think Shopify is
I agree.
The superior platform for sure. I would definitely look into like the tool, like the plugins that they have on Shopify.
Yeah.
One in particular is like Klaviyo. Like, make sure you get that shit so that you can, like, you know, have an email subscriber list and all that stuff for when you're ready to launch product.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have your Shopify, your LLC, your logo, and your product in hand, but I would also figure out a way to try to build demand before a launch. So that could appear in you dropping 3 posts and just launching, but it also could be you just like making TikToks every day, just posting your t-shirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And building some type of anticipation for the product that you're doing. And I think once the demand is there, or you at least have some people wanting your product, I think then you launch. But launching without demand, especially like a new brand, and let's say this person doesn't have community at all, like, you got to build that demand first before you, or build some anticipation at least. I think you can get that done for like 2K, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
I mean,
easy. That's good advice.
Yeah, I would just like scale it out. Like also too, and this isn't. I don't know if this is like answering any questions that we talked about. But one thing I wouldn't do at all is like don't copy a marketing strategy of a brand that is like 100 times bigger than you.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that shit only works for like
Yeah.
those brands. You know what I mean? Because they built this thing over time. If you want to copy a brand and a marketing strategy that they've done, I would do it two ways. One, find brands that are on your level and figure out what the fuck they're doing to their
Yeah.
consumers, or go all the way back on their Instagram pages. And if you
Yeah.
want to copy any of their strategies, copy those strategies they did to scale to the point where they are now.
Yep.
But doing things that like brands that are so big, like you know,
Right.
you can't be like
Renting a mansion with like
yeah,
your
you can't be
branding in the
like
pool.
you can't be Joe that just has 2 followers copying like
Nude
Stone
project.
Island rollouts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that shit
that would
doesn't
make
make
no
sense.
sense. Yeah.
And people think it does make sense, and I think that's like another thing, just having discernment on the information that you take in and like when to use it and when not to use it. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't copy marketing strategies from super big brands. Try to find brands that are on your level, but then also know where you're trying to go. So have those other brands be like the North Star at least. Utilize like the resources of the brands that are on your level.
Yeah.
And look at what they're doing and try to figure out a way for you to like have a unique stake or a unique point of view.
Yeah. Yeah.
Within that. So yeah, don't copy that, because I've seen people do that shit and that shit doesn't work. It works sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't.
Most of the time, yeah. Fire. That's all we got.
There it is.
Appreciate the time. Thank you for dropping the gems.
Yeah.
Wise words.
Hey,
Hope
man.
you guys take this home. Hope you guys had your notebooks out, because that was a lot of good stuff. Yeah. Drop down all your information.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Frederick, FredErick, SCTT. And then our website is www.frederick, FredErick-SCOTT.com. So Frederick-Scott.com.
Boom.
By the time this video comes out, we'll probably have a lot more shit on the website.
Yeah.
So definitely check us out.
Next drops.
July, September, October, November.
Stay on the lookout.
Maybe December. And yeah, we're just trying to, create some contemporary menswear, Philadelphia, something that we all can relate to. Definitely want to showcase Philly in a better light than what it's portrayed, because I think
For sure.
we have quality people here, and I just want that to appear in like the clothes and all that shit that we put out. So
Yeah.
be on the lookout.
You're doing a good job. Thank y'all. Peace.